The question I always ask is, what does success or done look like for this goal? And sometimes it is a measurable outcome that impacts the business. Sometimes it's just a place that's different than where we are today.
Hey friends, welcome back to the Coffee Klatch, our series where we bring on people that we think are interesting to talk about topics of community and leadership. Today I'm joined by Scott Patchin, who is an EOS implementer and the president of the TrU Group. Scott, welcome to the show.
Vince, thanks for having me on and thanks for the cup of coffee. I appreciate it.
Sure thing. I really want to talk about annual planning. So on page 2 of the VTO, left side column, we have this annual 1-year plan.
Yeah.
And there's measurables on there, and then there's a section for annual goals. But I was curious, how do you like to approach that, and what are some ways of setting those goals in a meaningful way that creates impact for the organization?
A lot of times people go into the planning thinking, what do I have to do? And the thing to step back on, and the most important thing is, why are we doing this? And the reality is you're doing this because you're either frustrated with the outcomes you're getting, maybe you're tired, maybe you constantly have the same goal in front of you every year and it's never gotten done for like 2 and 3 years. I mean, that's been a condition of a client that I've run into. That's the first thing.
That's never happened to us.
I know. I wouldn't expect you, but for the rest of you out there, that might have happened. For me and for EOS, when we bring a team into a room, the process of getting everyone in a room to think through, where do we want to go long term, as far out as we can see, and then how does that influence or inform what we want to do this year? And then is there anything currently in our business that needs to get fixed regardless of where we're going to go? The goals are just simply the 3 to 7 things that I think we need to do in the next year to get done. And the next quarter, if you're doing really good annual planning, you're checking your assumptions. I mean, if I put a plan in place on January 1st, I come to March, and a lot of people think, well, the plan can't change. I'm like, yeah, no. I mean, if you've learned something in those first 3 months, tweak the plan. Don't throw it out. I mean, we're practicing that predicting muscle. So the strategic planning process is as important as the outcome.
Some people are going to tell me, hey, whenever you set a goal, make it a SMART goal, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so when it comes to these particular goals, sometimes they can be a little bit vague. Do you push back and say, hey, let's not do vague goals? How do you kind of add a little detail to those? Maybe that doesn't go on that document, but should that exist somewhere?
Yeah, I mean, typically you would want to make it SMART. But don't be hemmed in, because a lot of organizations that are doing planning don't have a way to measure success. So I totally agree, you have to make it SMART. It's easier to measure. It's easier for everyone to understand how they contribute. It also makes you kind of predict what the outcome's going to be. And I think when you predict what the outcome's going to be, you just practice. Strategic planning reps is nothing more than practicing being a leader and predicting something that you're just not sure about. The question I always ask is, what does success or done look like for this goal? And sometimes it is a measurable outcome that impacts the business. Sometimes it's just a place that's different than where we are today.
But if you can't answer the question, what does success or done look like? Maybe some tweaks necessary.
Yeah.
You should be able to answer that.
Yeah, and then if I don't have the systems in place to get the measure I want, then that probably should be another goal.
I feel like the things that go into measurables, team size, revenue, EBITDA targets for the year, those belong in there. Those are important measurables. I'm curious, you said you've done 100 annuals now, probably. What are some unique measurables that maybe organizations could consider squeezing into that area? What are some other ways of measuring success that we maybe haven't thought of yet?
So here's a couple of different measures that I've seen. Sometimes instead of measuring team members, they'll actually literally measure empty seats. It's so important for them to get good hires in those seats that they actually measure that. Sometimes there'll be a little bit of a billable measure around the time spent actually on customer stuff. Billable type hours. So it's not uncommon to have some of those efficiency measures around labor and things like that. But the joy rating is the one I love. The thing I love about that rating is it kind of pushes back to, there's only so many things you can control.
Yeah.
And part of maturing as a leader is getting to the point where you can look in the mirror in the morning and kind of being happy with what you see and and have the confidence to go out and just lead. And without that, joy kind of follows confidence. And when your joy is at a 6 and you're trying to lead at a 9, there's a 3-point gap that you have to pretend to be confident when you're not feeling it. And that's debilitating. And so some of those measures can actually, that's probably the one measure I love of all my clients.
Yeah, what a unique way of approaching annual planning.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, Scott, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I really appreciate your time. To see more videos with Scott and other Klatch videos, go to boilo.co and click on the coffee cup.